Welcome to episode 14 of Descent into the Wormhole, where we discuss everything from ancient civilizations to modern day social issues and everything in between. I'm Les.
And I'm Stevie J, and today we're going to take a deep dive into the world of Deja Vu, which is something I feel everybody has experienced. So, very interesting. We're going to be talking about what it means, what it could be, because at the end of the day, science still can't explain it. So, grab that coffee, set the cruise control, and let's get into it. Very interesting. Very interesting. I imagine most people out there have felt deja vu, right?
I would assume so. Yes, I would assume so. It's a common phenomenon. Just no one knows exactly what it is.
Yeah, and I found that interesting when we were looking into this. There's no explanation. I mean, there's lots of explanations, but there's no definitive explanation. So scientists will always say this is what they believe it is, but they're not sure. Which to me is interesting, and it's kind of why we do this podcast. So I'm very curious about deja vu, and what does it mean? What does deja vu itself actually mean?
It means already seen.
Already seen. Interesting, because that is normally what you get is with deja vu. I've seen this before. It's like a visual thing, but. I don't know if you've experienced this. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure you have because we've talked about it. But I don't know if other people have experienced this. The feeling that you get, like a really strong feeling when you're having deja vu. Like the way I explain it for me is it's almost as if in the moment I'm in, something shifts into me, like something comes in, some kind of energy, whatever it is, comes in and then goes out. And in that time when it's there, it's as if, you almost know what's going to happen next, or you could get a feeling of what's going to happen next.
Yeah, when you told me that that's how you experience it, I thought that's really odd because I don't know if everyone experiences it differently or not. Like, because we don't know what it is, like everyone could experience it differently. Because I experience it as almost like everything goes a little warpy, like a little wonky. And I feel like my body isn't solid anymore. Well, our bodies aren't solid. We're all energy, but I feel like I can actually feel the energy, but I don't feel the whoosh through. I don't feel the whoosh through. I feel the, crazy. It's a crazy, crazy feeling.
It is. And you find it's really powerful as well. Like it can be really, really powerful and strong.
Yes.
The feeling.
Yes.
And for something unexplainable, something that, a lot of scientists, a lot of theories from scientists say that it's to do with, issues in the brain or things in the brain that are just like a connection issue or something like that. But when you feel it, lower down, like when you feel it in your actual body, and sometimes through your entire body, I get a little skeptical about that some of those scientific explanations. And honestly, I head more towards the spiritual side for deja vu and the meaning of it and what it actually is.
Absolutely, me too. Because our brains are machines. Our brains are just here to do our brains will do whatever we tell it to, essentially. So the fact, as you're right, and the fact that you can feel it move, like you feel it move through you. I feel it as kind of, I can't explain it, but I want to say, like everything just gets wobbly for a second and not so solid. Nothing's really solid in that moment, in that very moment. So could our brains do that? I don't know, but the feeling I get, I enjoy the feeling. I really do.
Me too.
I do. Because we've had it together. Like we've had it separately, but when we've been doing things together.
Yeah.
And it's just really, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling because we'll get into like our theories after we go through other people's theories. But I just see it as a good sign. I really do.
Me too. Absolutely. And I think we'll get into that theory as one of the list that we've got. But it's so interesting to me how powerful it can be, because really, when you think about it, like just taking myself out of my own mindset for a second and looking at it completely objectively, to be in a certain situation, and it's not like it's always something that's super meaningful that's happening, in terms of the reality we're in. Like we could be folding the washing or, doing some kind of other menial task. But the feeling that you feel, and, when you have it at the same time as someone else as well, it's so strong that I feel that the heart, we've heard before from, people like Joe Dispenza, that the heart actually dictates to the head, not the other way around. And so when you feel it down there, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like it doesn't compute to me that it would be the head dictating that, because you're not having a thought and then having deja vu. It comes, for me, it almost sort of comes up. Like I mentioned the sideways movement, but it's the feeling, comes up, and then you start thinking, then you start having the thought, oh, I'm having deja vu right now.
Right.
It doesn't go, I'm having deja vu, and then you get the feeling. It's the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the logical part of science wants to have a reason for it. So they want to say there's a glitch in the
Matrix.
is a glitch in the matrix. Well, the thing is, I like to think it's a glitch in the matrix, but not in like the brain matrix, like in the actual surrounding matrix. But I think they're just looking for something solid, because scientists like to have solid proof, and because they can't get solid proof with this, it's like, well, something happens within the brain.
Yeah.
And if you're not if you don't believe in anything spiritual, then that would be a logical explanation.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people, and I feel the last, funnily enough, 200 years has been a very, very quick advancement in technology and focus on science and away from spirituality. And exactly what you say there, they started to apply mathematics to all problems in the universe and try to solve all problems with mathematics. So when those scientists with those mathematical brains try and tackle something spiritual, it's almost like it just like has a bit of a shutdown.
There's a glitch in the matrix.
In their matrix, it just doesn't compute for them, because they need to have a step by thing, and this equals that by that. Yep. Divided by the square root of 150,000, whatever it is. But they can't compute when it gets to a spiritual point. And so, but the thing that I find curious about that too is where there's unexplainable phenomenon, scientists have gone to a point where if they can't explain it with science, then they simply disregard it. Like they will disregard it as something that just can't be explained, and it's not a thing, and it's certainly not spiritual. They won't go there. Most of them, some of them do, but most of them won't go there. So it's very closed-minded for a field, being science, it's meant to explore every possible avenue and opportunity.
But won't. Yeah. But won't go. I think it's because the thing I love about spirituality is there's no wrong answer, I feel. Yeah. Because it's in the ether. We can't see it. We can feel it. We can have a knowing. It's just an inherent knowing. That's all I can say. And no one can tell you you're wrong. And that's what I love about it. And I think that's what the scientists don't like about it, is because they like to tell each other they're wrong. Yes. No offense, scientists, but I see it all the time. They like to tell each other they're wrong. So when it comes to spirituality, you can't say you're wrong. It's like, well, okay, well, prove it. You can't. Yeah. You can't. It's just because whatever you believe is what you believe, and it's correct. And what I believe is I'm correct. So I think that's why they don't like to go there.
Yeah, I agree. And it's really funny how we've shifted over time, because for centuries and centuries and centuries and centuries, the key teachings, as far as education goes, was religion was one of the main ones. And look, with that, I'll just say spirituality, because that was a spiritual thing. That was a focus. History, like their own history. Right. And that's basically it. No one cared a great deal about trying to explain the unexplainable because the explanation was spiritual. So they didn't look to try and solve everything and figure everything out because it was explained through whether it be religion or just, general spirituality or something like that. So, but in the last couple of 100 years, they've decided, well, we need to figure everything out. And it may be in a different podcast that we do, but a lot of that motivation comes down to what they could get from creating and solving some of these problems. So they could get power through knowledge, what they call knowledge. But yeah, deja vu, I mean, I was going to ask you, like, as far as your experience, have you had different varying levels of like strength of the feeling when you have deja vu?
Yes, absolutely. There's been times where it was just like a fleeting, like, done this before, and then just kept going. And then there are some that have stuck with me. They were so powerful. Like I remember them clearly to this day, and they could have been 10 years ago. I remember them clearly. I remember it. It's so why is that when I can remember the other ones, I remember that I've had them, but I can't tell you what it was about. But other ones are so strong and so clear as day. It tells me that there's something happening.
Yeah.
That's what tells me that there's something there. Because why would I remember some and not others if they weren't meaningful?
Yeah. And I think that's interesting that you've had those different varying levels, with deja vu, because I've had the same. And the most powerful ones, I feel, from my recollection, have actually lasted longer too than the other ones. So you said like a couple were fleeting, or some of them were fleeting. And I get that one because it's just like a quick, deja vu. And then there's been my most powerful ones, I think, were, at least, I'm going to say like 5 seconds at least of sitting in that moment, in that feeling. Ooh, really, really powerful and strange, like in a good way. Like, because I same as you, I like it. I enjoy it. I think it's great. But it's just so different. It's so strange. Unexplainable, we might say.
It's unexplainable. Could there be a chance that feeling is how we're supposed to feel all the time, but because the government keeps us so disconnected that it seems off or odd because it does feel good?
Yeah. That's so interesting.
I just had that thought now.
And it's a good thought. It's such a good thought because are we aligning with something?
Yeah.
Are we aligning with something in that moment?
I think
Is
so.
it that human connection that we're so, pushed away from these days?
Yeah.
Everything now, you just got me thinking about social media when you said that because like I could do away with my phone. I really could.
Yeah.
But what we're told is, and the way that they push social media is connect with other people through social media platforms. And we've got this way of connecting with people through social media. Yet in reality, there's zero connection in social media.
Right.
On a human level, like on a real human level.
So disconnected.
It's so disconnected. So what everybody ends up doing, instead of walking down the street and waving at somebody, saying hi, stopping for a chat, everybody's walking with their heads down, looking at their phone, walking straight past each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes bumping into each other. But it's actually a disconnection, not a connection, to have social media.
It is. It really is. And I too could do away with my phone. I don't spend the amount of time I spend on social media is to post stuff, like post videos, the odd, funny cat thing. And that's it. I'm out.
And they are funny. We need to say that. They are funny.
The one today was funny. Or yesterday it was funny.
That was funny. But it's so true. Like we're very disconnected as a society, and there is a feeling of. I'm really curious, actually, to find out what people listening or watching this have to say about their experience with deja vu, and is it a positive thing or has it ever been a negative deja vu? Because I've never experienced a negative deja vu. It's
No,
always
me
been
neither.
a general positive to me, either more on the neutral side of the scale or
Mhm.
100% positive. So I'm really curious to see how other people have experienced it too.
Yeah. Well, I've never had a bad experience after it because one would think if because what I may think it is, if what I think it is actually happening, then if it was a bad thing, it would have happened like almost immediately after or a couple of days after. Like there would have been like a thing that I said, oh crap, like that was that deja vu thing that I experienced. Like I thought it was coming, damn
Yeah.
you. But it just it I'm going to start paying more attention if good things happen on the other side.
Ooh, that's not something I've even ever thought of. The follow on and after effects afterwards, like what
Yeah.
actually happens after.
Yeah.
Well,
Because it
that's
may not be
interesting.
the next moment, it may not be the next hour, but it could be in the next couple of days.
Hmm. Wow, good point. Really good point. I'm gonna watch
Like,
out for
did
that myself.
you? Yeah, I want to know. I want to know. Has someone tracked that what happens on the other side of it? Good, bad, indifferent. What has happened? I'm curious.
And you just gave me another idea as well.
Uh,
Tracking my deja vu overall. Like when it happens, write it down. What it was, what the experience was, what it felt like.
you're a genius.
Not as much.
Poindexter and a genius, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I feel like there's only one genius here, and it ain't this guy. But
Well, I don't know about that because I don't like being the smartest person in the room. So,
all right, well, let's just call ourselves both geniuses, okay? Let's
okay,
be really modest and humble about it. But
we are.
so
Those
humble.
are middle names.
But that really is interesting. Like I've never thought of doing that before, writing it down, tracking it, like what the experience is, because I've actually, and I was going to ask you this question. So funny that you just raised that a second ago. But have you had deja vu of having deja vu?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Because I have had a double up once, where
Oh,
it was like I had deja vu of having deja vu. And all I can say is it's just like twice as strong, twice as powerful as kind of usual, because it's like a pancake, like it's doubled up
yeah.
on stacked on one another. But what does that mean? We need to get into some of these theories so we can talk about some of our theories,
Yeah.
because like I want to say, like something a theory we've already talked about, but we probably outline some of and give a bit of a explanation.
So, one of the explanations that is rolling around out there is that we've experienced this moment before in a past life. I love this theory.
Me too.
I
Me
love
too.
it.
And one of the things about this theory is, now I just want to share this because I've remembered it, and if I don't, it'll just escape and fly away out of this brain. So there was a case in India where a kid said that his name was actually something different. It was like Mana Ra or something, and he said his name was, which was not who this child was. Like that's not his actual name, but that's who he thought he was. And
Was it? Did you just say Amin Ra? Was he said his name was?
No. It was
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, whoa, that's old.
no. It was something else. Like, I can't remember what it was.
Okay.
But what he said was he told his parents when he was a child that this is not my name. My name is actually this. And when I died, I got shot in the chest with a shotgun. And this is where I lived as well, like the town that he lived and everything. So they did some investigating. And I should mention that this kid had a big birthmark on his chest in a very distinct pattern. And so they actually did some research and they tracked down someone by the name that the kid said he was. And the person by that name in that town where the kid said he came from had been killed by a shotgun wound to the chest. And the kid's birthmark exactly matched the gunshot pattern on the man's chest who died. So that's an example of the past life theory. You know, I know we're talking about deja vu here, but when it comes to past lives, a theory is, you know, attached to birthmarks and things like that. So
Yes.
it could also be attached to, you know, that kid, and children are a lot more open than we are, but he had that experience ongoing, that he had a past life. But it
Yeah.
stands to reason to me that absolutely it could be something coming back from a past life, something we've lived already.
Absolutely. And we are going to do an episode on reincarnation, but I like this theory because I do believe in reincarnation. And there's I'll just go into briefly that there's a theory that we come back almost like same features. Like we bring a lot of stuff back with us.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff would be soul memory too.
Right.
Because we take our experiences with us. It's the only thing we can take with us is our soul and our experience. And because in my own humble opinion, this is all a learning experience. Well, why wouldn't you take your learning experience with you? It's like going from grade 9 to grade 10 and not taking what you learned into grade 10. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
So to have these moments of remembering things that we did in the past, and because time, well, we're also doing another one on time, but because time is a construct and time is all happening now, everything is happening now, past, present, and future, all happening at the same time. So it stands to reason that just a little shift in the algorithm could have two parallel lives working together, colliding a little bit.
Yeah. It makes complete sense to me because
it does to me too.
Yeah, like you said, we're every moment is happening at the same time. Everything, and you know, it's hard to sort of explain how I see this. But if you imagine like a loaf of bread, and the loaf of bread is a lineal passage of time, but then you slice it into all the slices. And you go, okay, so I'm born, that's the first slice. And then I go to school, that's the middle slice. And then I die, that's the last slice. But every slice in between is its own distinct slice in time. It doesn't necessarily disappear. It doesn't necessarily go away just because it's happened in the past. And what's going to happen in the future is still there. But the thing is, we can only experience one slice at a time.
Right.
We can't experience all those other slices. But if we do align spiritually at some point, and if we think about our past lives, other loaves of bread, do those same slices line up at the same time? And we have deja vu. And we go, oh, I've done this before. I felt this before.
Yeah.
I've been here before.
Yeah, well, yeah, because how do people explain? Because there's been like crazy stories of people who have never even left their hometown, and they end up, halfway across the world. And I've been here before, going to homes that you've never been to before because you've never been in that country, and you know exactly where everything is.
Yeah,
everything, like down to the cutlery, you know where everything is. How? Why? How is this happening?
Yep.
And these people aren't making it up. Why would they make it up?
Yes.
And how could they make it up? How could someone walk into someone's house and know exactly where everything was unless they were a stalker? And I highly doubt that's what happened. Like there's just too many stories. There's too many stories of deja vu for any kind of, just a poo-poo. Oh, it's
to disregard it. There's too many stories. And I go back to what I was saying before, like science has conditioned not only scientists, but people in general to say, if you can't explain it, then it doesn't exist. Or, here's this other reason for it that's, not actually an explanation. I mean, if science took a more combined approach with spirituality, I feel like there would be a lot more answers revealed. And when they just discount and disregard everyone who has these experiences, in a spiritual sense, then no one can get those learnings from it, if that makes sense. Because I feel like the positive side to science, and we have poo-pooed it a bit, but the positive thing to science is that they record everything and they do data collection, which is important because if you don't record it, well, you know, you don't get to have that analysis of what happened. So that's a positive side of science. But that's why I say they should combine that with spirituality and come up with new ways of exploring and recording experiences that happen so that they can try and figure it out if they want to. Personally, I actually am quite okay in not figuring it out, to be honest. It interests me and it intrigues me, and I love having these conversations about it. Absolutely love it. But I don't need to know at the end of the day. I don't need to know. It just makes me curious.
No, I love the things that can't be explained. We experience them, but they can't be explained. And I love those because you're right. It does spark conversation with, you know, the right people. You can have a hell of a conversation around it. And you're right. If science and spirituality could merge, and I think they're working on it, like quantum physics for sure is on the spiritual side. But if everyone could just kind of hear what each other has to say, because science is great. Don't get me wrong. Science is spectacular, but it's also man-made.
Yes.
And we are flawed. So it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Spirituality, a lot of it can't be explained. Not perfect. So nothing is ever really fully explained.
Yeah.
And it's just, I love that people spend their lives trying to figure out something that will never actually truly be explained. I think it's fantastic because you're obviously dedicated, because you're never going to get like the real answer, but you're dedicated. And I love that. I love the passion behind it. And I'm not being facetious. I actually, I love it when they get into it.
No, for sure.
Figuring things out.
Well, it's good. And I mean, you know, when it comes from a good place, absolutely. It's people who, you know, I mean, Nikola Tesla, fantastic. Oof. Absolutely fantastic. And where would we be without all of his work that he did and all of his experiments and everything?
We'd probably be a hell of a lot, you know, more advanced if they would just unleash, you know, 99% of his findings were public knowledge. We'd probably be not where we are today.
We'd probably be in a better place for sure. But, and this is where that sadly the negative side comes in, which is they're very quick to discard a lot of people, and people in power are very quick to disregard spirituality and the spiritual side of things. And sadly, so is society, because the society's been indoctrinated to believe science and believe what scientists say and not believe anything else.
Right.
But you've got to think about the motivations to that. And I find it interesting that although we all experience things like deja vu and we feel it, everybody feels it. Everybody experiences it. And there's a whole lot of other things spiritually that everybody feels. But people in themselves will also disregard that feeling they've just had because science can't explain it. So, well, I'm just going to disregard that. And sadly, spirituality gets disregarded a whole lot because of that reason. Yet we're very quick to believe what governments tell us. And now the key point with that is with the spiritual feelings we have in ourselves, there's no hidden agenda. There's no sinister motivation. There's nothing to gain from anything, from experiencing all of that. But when you look at science and governments and authorities and things like that,
and big pharma,
there's always a hidden agenda, and they behind their science, they have money to make. So but we're so quick to trust that. When there is an agenda, when there is money to be made, when there's all those things, we're so quick to trust that, and yet disregard spirituality, which is something we experience ourselves.
That we know is true. We know it's true. We just felt it.
But it blows my mind. Funny. It just blows my mind.
Yeah. Well, you and I have both been called absolutely bonkers. And you know what I say to the people who say we're crazy? The second people think you're crazy is the time that you realize that I can be exactly who I am. I don't need to put on a front. I don't need to pretend to be anything for this person to like me. They already think I'm crazy. Let the freak flag fly.
Let's swirl that tinfoil hat around and have a party because
exactly.
Who cares? You already think I'm crazy.
Exactly. So what's the worst? What is the worst that's going to happen after that?
Yep, exactly.
So let's take a look at more. Your clairvoyant dreams have happened about this moment. This is one from Arthur, what's his name? Funkhouse, Dr. Arthur Funkhouse. He thinks that it's a dream that your subconscious has locked onto. And because everything that happens in our subconscious is real for us, so what happens is your subconscious is locked onto it, and then you start experiencing that dream. You start to play out that experience because your brain's like, okay, well, this is what we do next. So he thinks that's what it is that we're just we're just recreating a dream, which would also make sense. That theory makes sense too, because we don't know what dreams are. We don't know, like, are we actually going into maybe we're going into our real life? I don't know. know.
Well, and I'm with you. I don't know. Who the hell knows? But it's a great one to talk about because the Matrix movie, in this sense, does cover a lot of this. And the question is, when Morpheus says to Neo, "Have you ever had a dream that you were so sure was real?" Like, how do we know the difference? What's waking? What's sleeping? Right. Sure, we spend the majority of a period of time awake, or what we call awake. Let's just say in this reality, and we spend another period of time in sleep, or what we would call sleep.
Or another reality.
So, which one is which?
We don't know.
No one can ever answer that question.
No, because we have no clue. We have no clue.
We do not know.
How come we can fly in dreams? How come we can do that?
Mm-hmm.
I think, and here's where my tinfoil cap is snugly on, molded and made just for me. I have always thought that we can probably fly because we can do it in our dreams. We can probably fly, but because everyone has always told us we can't, we can't.
Well, let's do it like a little hat tip with our tinfoil hats, because I'm right there with you, because I agree with you. We have the potential for so much more, and scientists will admit that we only use a certain percentage of our brain power, say 10, 15%.
Yeah.
And if we could unlock the rest, I feel that's where we would unlock that potential. And the potential for flight and all of these things that would be seen as unusual, magical, like all of these different things are simply boiled down to physics again, which would be defying the laws of gravity. Well, it's all energy. Everything is energy. Everything's vibration. So if you can unlock the ability to tune into those different frequencies that surround us, then you can also tune into a level where you can transcend that. So makes absolute sense to me.
Yeah.
Complete sense. I'm right there with you.
Because I thought, well, like, do cats think they can, do cats dream that they fly? Who the F knows what cats dream about? They dream about something. Let me tell you, those little paws are going. But I just don't know. So going back to the deja vu thing, because I just confused myself with the dreams, because I get so lost in my thoughts that it just turns into this whole mess of thought bubbles above my head. This one also makes sense to me. I also like this theory because dreams can be very much real, and dreams, a lot of people have had the experience where you're convinced it was real, convinced that your dream was real. And there's no two ways around it. That was real.
Yeah, well, exactly.
No one else, the people in the dream that you experienced it with, don't remember it.
Yeah.
Could that have been a quantum jump? We don't know. But there's so many unexplained things that are all kind of intertwined together. So I like the dream theory too.
I really like it as well. And I keep going back to the Matrix here, but there's another good quote, and it goes directly to what you just said there, which is, now, how many people out there have had a dream, one of those dreams that's so real that let's go with a falling one, very common falling dream.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But in this reality, your body's not moving. You're still.
Mm-hmm.
So where does the adrenaline come from that you wake up with the sweats and the feeling that you were actually falling? Where does that adrenaline actually come from? And I go back to the Matrix and that quote where, you know, they're plugged into the Matrix. Some of them are getting killed. And Neo says, like, how can you die in the Matrix if it's just a computer program? Morpheus says, your mind makes it real. And so that's the whole thing. And I love it because it's what is real. We don't know. How if dreams aren't real, if dreams are not a place that you go and it's not a real thing, then where does that adrenaline come from when you're falling off a cliff or you're falling off a building or whatever it is, and then you hit the ground and wake up with the sweats?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and nightmares that are real that you can't sleep for another week because it was so real, because to your brain it was real.
Yeah.
And as I said, whatever we tell our brains is true. Whatever we tell our brain is true.
Yep.
So
yeah, I agree with you. This is another good theory. It's another good one I like.
Yeah. So another one is your vibrational frequency matches a person or place. So I'm going to expand on this one. So it says people, places, and things all carry an energetic vibration. And it's possible that your vibration can resonate with another vibration, similar to a tuning fork. This means that your frequency is an exact match to another person's, to an object, such as a crystal, or to a physical place. Experiencing such frequency resonates can trigger feelings of deja vu. I love this one too.
Mm-hmm. This is one of my favorite ones, actually.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite
ones. Because it's the energy. Because that would match up with how you feel. You feel the energy moving through you.
Yeah.
So this one lines up with how you feel. I love that.
And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, the tuning fork, you know, like the frequency, vibration, and tuning in with somebody else, the connection with people that we don't have anymore. And, you know, I wonder, just a question, I wonder if thousands of years ago, deja vu was a common experience, a daily experience, where everybody just connected with each other and therefore experienced these things all the time. We're more in tune with it, more connected. Could even, and I asked you this question the other day, could even instigate deja vu.
Yes.
On purpose.
Yes, you did ask. Yes. Yeah. And it was a really good question because I thought how would you do that? But if you can tune into the actual frequency to people, places, and things, but we don't, because I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
You use something. And so say I use my phone for whatever reason, I'm not paying attention to it. I'm using it for a function and then I put it down. My book, I'm using it for a function, then I'm putting it down. I'm not actually sitting there and resonating with it. I'm not sitting there and getting in tune with it. And it's really hard to it's not hard to get in tune with people like this.
Right.
Because energy is everywhere and energy travels. So this works, but I feel like talking through like just words don't work.
Right.
You can't connect that way. And 9 times out of 10, that's how people connect, is through words on a device, not this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that social media disconnect again. Like,
yeah,
people, and I feel the mindset, the sad thing is that the mindset has shifted, that it is a connection. The phone is a connection with someone. It really isn't. I mean, to me, to be honest, like just from my point of view, touch is the closest form of connection and best form of connection. You know, whether it's just holding hands or it might be a hug or it might be whatever. That's the strongest connection. But visual as well, like being able to visually see somebody, and then there's so much energetically that you feel when you're able to actually see somebody, rather than just texting through a phone or device or whatever. But this one really does, pardon the pun here, resonate with me, because it's something I've experienced, and it really is like tuning in for that moment. It is like tuning in, and we struggle to find, I feel, connections with people anyway, because look, everyone's different. Everyone has different vibrations. Everyone has different likes and dislikes and all of those types of things. But when you find it and you find someone that does match your frequency, it totally makes sense to me that it, those deja vu feelings would come through, and you'd experience that. Absolutely.
So when it comes to people who experience it more, I found this. People who travel more have more opportunities to encounter a new setting that they may find strangely familiar. People with liberal beliefs may be more likely to admit to having unusual mental experiences and willing to figure them out. A conservative mindset would likely avoid admitting to having strange mental events, as they might be seen as a sign that they are unstable. Welcome to the club. We're all a little crazy here. So it says the author of this story experiences deja vu so often it's become a burden, particularly due to the fact that it's made everyday experiences feel more mundane because he already knows what's going to happen. And they also say in this book, it also said that more affluent people experience it more, and I think it's because they have more experiences. Right. They have the opportunity to travel more and just do more than
that makes sense. Like
one that doesn't.
They go more places and see more things, right, and more likely to run into a place they've been before or someone they've been with before, something like that. Yeah, that makes sense. More opportunity. That's that's really interesting that more affluent people, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me that, but I also, a lot of people with that sort of affluent background and are more well off would probably be those people who are likely to be closed off too. I feel like that would be that's my consensus. Not all, but a lot.
I think I agree with you. I was trying to feel how I felt about that. I tend to agree with you because they don't want to be considered crazy either.
Yeah.
You would not believe how many people have reached out to me and said, I've never, told anyone this, but I'm really fascinated with the spiritual stuff, but I can't possibly.
Oh, yeah.
I can't possibly tell anybody. And I think that's a shame. Why not?
Yeah.
It's just an interest. You're not going to hurt anybody. Like I'm not hurting anybody if I'm sitting here practicing, meditating and trying to, learning about different stuff that doesn't even have an answer.
Come on,
I'm not hurting anybody.
It's dangerous. It's so dangerous. We need to stop it. We need to stop it now. It's just so dangerous.
Well, you're ridiculous.
And I'm sorry.
Well, you should be.
But you're right. Like it doesn't hurt anyone, you know? It doesn't hurt anyone. I mean, experiencing, going with different places and traveling and all of those sorts of things. I've definitely had that experience, and we haven't been able to travel a lot lately, have we? But going certain places, I've definitely experienced it as though, I've been here before. Like this is very, very strange, even though it's somewhere in at least this lifetime or this reality you've never been to before. Yeah. I often think of it too, as well as do we live in parallel universes? And when there's I imagine these different Earths, let's say, realities floating around and swirling almost around everywhere. Yeah. And there's a different me and a different you on each one of those. Yeah. And every time, we talked about this, every time we make a decision, we come to a fork in the road, a new reality is created. So there's the one that we're experiencing in this consciousness, and then there's another one created that goes off in a different direction.
But it's already, but here's the thing, that parallel, that thought, that break off is actually happening.
Yes.
By parallel universe me or you, it's already happening.
Yep.
Just want to make that, I want to draw it as clearly as I can for the people that are listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
See my hand movements.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when that happens, then I imagine, so for the people listening, like these realities, these worlds, parallel universes swirling around, But when we have deja vu, is that a point where they all line up in a straight line and all versions of ourselves are experiencing the same thing at the same time?
Yes. And I love that. I love that. I think that's my favorite theory. And I love it because I like to think that there's a reason behind it. Like, because nothing happens just because. Like nothing happens just because there's a reason this thing is happening. And if we have made a decision, and I like to think that decision, that I made a decision, and if I feel that, and that's why I want to know like what happens after. Like, did I make a firm decision about something and then have the experience of deja vu right after? Because did that decision mark me in a way that is moving me in the direction that I am intended to go? Because I have an intention for my life. I have an intention. I know where I want to go. I know where I want to be. Did that decision just get me one bit closer? And that's when everything collided and sent me on a different track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah,
I really feel like I should be starting to write these experiences down and record them because
I think you should. I'm gonna start doing the same thing. I'm gonna maybe just do little voice notes whenever I can of when it happens. But I like that one about everything is all lining up because it would make sense because it's like I almost see it like a shish kebab skewer.
Yes.
Where everything is like all, and you are the skewer worming its way through the wormhole, as one would say.
Yes. Yeah.
And
every version of you has just been shish kebabbed. And
and that the in and out would also make sense. The in and out feeling that you get.
Well, and the other thing too, and I'm so curious to hear about people's experience here. But the other thing too would be if you imagine those worlds aligning. So we got the shish kebab version, but imagine energetically if those parallel universes are actually all merging into one. So in that period of time, so there's the shish kebab, but imagine they'd line up on the shish kebab, and then they all join and merge as one at the same time.
Ooh,
so it's as if it is, and so those other versions of ourselves are actually energetically coming into us for that moment. Ooh,
just for a moment.
Just for a moment.
Oh, love it! I love it.
Me too. So interesting. I can't wait to have it again. I'm gonna go to work and try and figure out how to instigate deja vu. Try and make it.
You deja instigator, you.
Maybe I'll go buy a bunch of shish kebabs and see what I can do.
Before we go, I did want to touch on one theory. It's the Ephron theory, because this one, and I'm obsessed with how the brain works because I have no idea how it works. So the Ephron theory, what this Robert Ephron thinks is that because we have two separate hemispheres of the brain, one's more dominant than the other. He thinks that we've taken in something, we've taken in a visual through our least dominant side. The communication went over to the dominant side, and it's just registering now. So it's happening all at once, but it registered at a slower rate.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that because of the feeling that we have.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking as well. I mean, great theory, and we don't understand the brain at all.
Yeah,
and I feel like that theory actually may, for me, it feels like that would apply to a lot of other situations for me. But like you said, with deja vu, and we touched on this earlier, but the feeling for me comes upwards. It's not. I don't think of something and then have deja vu. I feel something and then go, wow, I've got deja vu. Like it's the other way around for me. But the disconnect between the hemispheres of the brain and the percentage of brain power that we use,
Yes. Yeah.
It makes sense to me in that sense. Like,
yeah.
And maybe if we could connect the two halves of the brain wholly and completely, maybe we could fly.
Maybe. Well, I'm working on strengthening and having them both work in unison. So maybe I can fly in 20 years. Who knows?
Well, as long as I'm there to record it, that's we need to get that shit on tape. Absolutely.
You just want to sell it for millions, don't you?
Yeah, I'd want to sell it for millions, but I also want a free trip. I want a free trip. Like, I feel like there would be no plane ticket involved. There would be no. There would be no.
What are you doing? Hitching a ride?
Yeah. I don't know. Now, hang on. This is a side question.
What's the animal? What is that fluffy dog thing in the Neverending Story? I've never seen that movie. What's the dog called?
Oh, I knew this. It's not because you got Atreyu is the bow and arrow kid. Sebastian's the other kid in it. Oh, damn! I used to love that dog too.
Either way, I just felt like him for a second when you're like,
Well, you need to grow your ears as well. Yeah,
I do. I got the fur for it. I just need to grow the ears.
Well, at least there would be no, at least there'd be no quarantine or COVID testing to travel.
Well, you don't know that.
Sorry,
you haven't seen my policies, sir.
I shouldn't have assumed.
We have travel policies here at Air Empowered.
But flying dogs aside, I think we've had such a good chat today, and we've covered off on a lot of the topics and a lot of the theories to do with deja vu. I'm so curious, just so interested to hear what people have to say about their experiences, because like you were saying earlier about spirituality in general, it's a very individual thing. So I would love to know what people think about what we've covered today.
Yeah, I want to know, do you think that it's what Albert Einstein would call something spooky energy, or is it a glitch in the matrix? Is it a glitch in the brain? Is it just what do you think it is? Yeah. And the best part about this question, there's absolutely no wrong answers.
Yeah.
No wrong answers. If you want to tell me that you think that aliens come down and prod your brain for a hot second, okay.
I'm down for it.
Perfect.
I'm down.
I'm in.
Absolutely.
I love it. Yeah. Great conversation.
Yes, absolutely. So much fun as always. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And thanks everybody for watching, listening, and we'll catch you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.